Hi folks, it's Cheryl-Ann Webster from the Canadian International Institute of Art Therapy. Now I don't know about you, but do you find yourself thinking, I don't have time to make art? I do this all the time. In fact, this weekend has been so busy already, I didn't think I'd even have time to come on here and do a Facebook Live. I know for me, art making is so healing, and I know it relaxes me, it gives me time to reflect and time to process on all the things going on in my life. However, I don't really give myself time for it. I think it's because when I think of art making, I often think of product, like the pieces behind me. Some I've created and some from my art mentor. And I feel like I have to plan and gather materials and really sit down and take the time to make beautiful art. Well, sometimes I have to listen to what I say to my clients and to other people who say, I don't have time, I don't have time. Well, you may not have time for art making, but I bet you have time for mark making. Yes, there's a difference. It's more process-based. We don't have to plan ahead. We don't have to seek out materials. We just use the materials, found objects or supplies that are within reach, and we start to make marks. And by making those marks, our body gets to express and explore what's going on for it. Our thoughts and processes start to calm down or start to activate and energize. And more importantly, our soul gets to speak, and it doesn't have to worry too much about what the end product's going to be. So I'm walking my talk. Now, sometimes when I make mark, hi guys, nice to see you on here, Lauren and Hadaya, pleased to see you here. Thanks for joining me. And I hope you all get time to make marks today, even if you don't get time to make art as we think of it. So sometimes I like to work large, and it's still just mark making. It's not a final product, a beautiful piece that's going to be hung in the Tate Gallery or the V&A. It's a piece for me, for processing. Here's a piece I did a little while ago. Oops, sorry, it's going to be noisy on the mic. You ready? There we are. This is a piece I did a little while ago, and you can perhaps feel the energy in here, and it was very much a kinesthetic piece. This was a place for me to really move my body and allow the colors and the movement and how that ink sunk into the page and how it dispersed before it was dry. Oh, it was such a healing piece to do. I got engaged in the mark making, and that's the final piece. I don't know if it will turn into anything else. Part of me really wants to tear it up into smaller pieces and then create something with each one of those. But for now, I'm just hanging on to it as it is. Quite often, not only do we not have time, hi Michelle, good to see you on here, and you're absolutely right. Creating things in the winter is especially energizing because for many of us, we need the sunshine, and for me, I need the warmth. I'm lucky to be on the west coast of Canada. I don't get so much snow, but it's still a bit grayer than in the summertime. So I need those colors to energize me as well. But I have to say, I can't often grab a big piece of paper like that and a lot of media and start pushing it around. Sometimes even my space is restricted because maybe I'm traveling, and hotel rooms really don't like me flying the paint around or the ink. So I have to bring it down to more manageable. So I have little sketchbooks, and some of them are really teensy tiny. And I love this one, Little Book of Big Ideas. And it's just blank pages. And in fact, I decided to start afresh with this one today. So I ripped out all what was there, and I wanted clean sheet to move forward in. Now, when I rip out my artwork, sometimes I just discard it, and other times I repurpose it and recreate it in other sketchbooks. Now, you may remember this book from the Altered Book series that we did, but here you can see I've taken different sketches and art pieces or mark making from previous times from other books, and I've applied them straight into here. It feels this way. It doesn't need to take as long. I don't have to worry so much about it. I can just play and explore. And if you know me, you know I don't go from front to back. I can just start putting in pieces wherever I need them. And I love it when they stick out too. They don't even have to fit. And this way it's never finished, but it's not unfinished either. It just is. So I have little traveling sketchbooks. This one here with its own little pencil. I have my little book of big ideas. And then sometimes I set myself a challenge that this year didn't work out. So at the beginning of the year, I was going to do a sketch a day. Well, let's just say it looks like from this sketchbook, I'll be starting that again in 2019. Oh well. But when we put those expectations on ourselves, it can be a bit more challenging. So what would it be like to mark make without any expectations? Using what materials are around in the time that you have, in the space that you have. And sometimes they keep hold of things like this, that it was a photograph I was trying to print out. It didn't quite work. I only got a quarter of the piece, but hey, I quite like the shapes and forms, and I know I can use permanent marker onto this, or even, oh, it's not going to tear. I thought it might, but I could tear and change it, scrunch it up, flatten it out, and start just feeling and allowing my body to express, and adding this to my sketchbook. So before I wrap up, I want to show you a sketchbook I have carried around for a very long time. I started this one probably 38 years ago. I used to think that a sketchbook had to be clean and crisp and I couldn't mess it up, and I had to work from front to back and it would all be beautiful, and each page would be its own little artwork. And then I had a wonderful art friend who showed me, doesn't have to be that way. Can if you want, but it really doesn't. And for me to process in limited time and limited space, and to be able to process more, I could really have fun by just using the pages as a foundation for texture and sounds and materials and colors and marks. And that's what I did. Are you ready for this one? There is my sketchbook. So all the pages, as you can see, obviously it hasn't closed for a very long time, and sometimes it opens in different places. So in here is where I just started to express and explore different materials. What would it be like to have yarn and leather together? What would it be like to have burnt card and wire and plastic? And you can imagine all the senses were alive when I created this piece. Didn't know what to do with it otherwise, but it just ended up in my sort of gallery of pages. Here, that used to be a placemat. Oops, not anymore, but I love the way I could bend and twist and tie them together. Now, here's some more, and I will, here's some pegs, good old British pegs. They got in there as well. And then I did some fabric dyeing, just testing what different pieces would be like, and they expand and they grow from within the pages. Then I had a little fad where I would knit with everything I could find. I would knit with string and wire and ribbons, plastic bags, occasionally yarn, plastic bags and different things like that, just to see what texture it'd give me. And then I would use these as materials to print with. Here's one with bandages. So more and more different things. So for me, and although I'll assure you, no animals were hurt in the making of this sketchbook, there is a little friend. Thanks Lauren, thanks Michelle. If I can pick it up, there's a little friend still in there from many decades ago, when that little crab, who already was dead on the beach, got picked up in my gluey page. Just taking a page, covering it in glue, and turning it down onto the sand and picking it back up again, and seeing what nature provided as a page for my really paper gallery here. So the message of today is, whether you have 5 minutes or whether you have 5 hours, whether you have all the art supplies around you or hardly anything, a small little sketchbook or a great big piece of paper, or if you're allowed, straight onto the wall. See what mark making you can create. And if that whole art making takes too much time or is a bit too intimidating, think of it as mark making. Because when we make marks, we feel better. We start to express what's really going on inside us. We start to resolve and to separate and to understand a little bit more about who we are and our current situation. So I will leave you with that. I hope you get to do some mark making today. And if you feel comfortable and you want to share your mark making, put your images in the comments below. But if you want to keep them private, you do just that It's all for you and nobody else. So have a lovely day of mark making. Find the time, even if it's just 5 seconds. Make those marks. Take care. Bye. See you on our website, ciat.org, ciiat.org. Bye bye.